Hey everyone, it's Alyssa here, and my intercultural speech is on Hispanics and the Spanish culture. Every day, we encounter people who are much different than ourselves. They live different lives than us, come from different backgrounds, and even experience their own culture. The human culture itself is widely diverse, with people from different cultures living different lives. Throughout my speech, I will be mentioning the name Rosa. Rosa attends my school, and I also have a class with her. So I got the chance to interview her about her experience of not only her life here in America, but her culture experienced back home in Mexico. Rosa, along with many other people from different cultures, live different lives than I. But it's still very interesting to learn about all of these different cultures and how they differ from how we live. So, to start off, life here in America and the culture that we have is more fast-paced and upbeat than cultures like Rosa's. One of the main things that Rosa kept stressing when I interviewed her was that back home in Mexico, life was much more simple and laid back compared to how it is here in the US. This being said, we can see how the amount of technology in our culture makes a difference from that of others. Everyone here in America is consumed up into the online world and wants technology to make things easier for them. While in Mexico, they just like to sit around, play games, spend time with family, go outdoors, and fun stuff like that. While here in America, you find a lot of people sitting on their phones, or they're constantly trying to do things more technical with technology. And in Rosa's culture, for example, in Mexico, everything there is natural and old style, simple. The American life is centered around the workplace and earning money, while Mexican families view each other as of utmost importance. For example, according to www.languagetrainers.com, people in Mexico participate in a daily afternoon siesta, which is where shops and businesses close down for a few hours so that families can have family time and rest time. It's just a little time during the day around lunchtime, and everyone goes home, spend time with their family, and just a little get together in the middle of the day. Next, I wanted to talk about how cultures like Rosa's are more family oriented. Rosa mentioned that about every day, she works at her family restaurant, and that's where she spends the majority of her time. I asked her what she did when she was not at her family-owned restaurant, and she said that she was home hanging out with her other siblings. She would, she's helping them with her homework, or, playing games with them, or she's even doing chores, things like that. Rosa's family also goes to church together and spends the majority of their time together, which is more common in her culture, I feel like, than our culture sometimes, because a lot of people in our culture, family time isn't of most importance to them. You find families here not eating dinner together, they don't go out together, they don't do much at all together. And so for Rosa's family, that is the number one thing, and I think that's how every culture should be. Family is important. The last thing I wanted to share was a few fun facts I learned about Rosa and of her culture. One of them was that Rosa and her family are Catholics, and so am I. So I found that particularly interesting, that she's in a totally different culture than I am, but she's the same religion as me, and you might not expect that. And I looked it up. Spanish culture is predominantly Catholic, so that was a pretty cool fact. Something else that is a little funny, but I inquired to Rosa about, was when she was home, what did her mom cook for dinner? Rosa's mom cooks homemade Spanish food. She rarely cooks American food. I was just wondering, I learned that Rosa's family doesn't cook pizzas and whatnot. They eat Spanish food all the time. Also, Rosa doesn't play any sports, but she did used to be involved in band. I find here that more kids are involved in sports, or at least some activities, but she did say that her younger siblings were involved in soccer, which is common for her in her culture for soccer to be a predominant sport. In conclusion, Rosa, she loves life here in America and her family, but she also loves her life back home in Mexico as well. While people from other cultures differ from us, they are unique in their own way. There's nothing more interesting than learning about the cool knickknacks of someone else. Other cultures are pretty interesting, and we're all very different people, but we can also come together and work as one. But each culture, I think that's good that there are different cultures in the world, because if we didn't have different cultures, then no one would be different. So having different cultures is very important. Thank you.